Welcome. Welcome to this very important event in the Monash Health calendar. I am Deepak Sangvi, Chair of Monash Health Board of Directors. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people, and pay my respects to them, their culture, and their elders past and present. I'm so pleased to be here with you today to celebrate and acknowledge your many decades of service to Monash Health. It has been an extraordinary year, perhaps the most extraordinary in your long time with Monash Health. I'm so proud of every member of our Monash Health team that responded to the COVID pandemics to continue to deliver the very best of care under the most challenging of circumstances. You have shown outstanding and long-term commitment and dedication. You have helped create the Monash Health of today. Today's event will celebrate your incredible contributions. Each of you has a different role. And whether it is keeping our health service clean, or making meals, or delivering the best face-to-face healthcare, your contribution makes a real difference in the lives of real people. Working in health is not like any other job, and your long service, you have shown you are special people. As you continue in your life journey, I hope you will reflect with pride on the difference you may have made to the people's lives at their time of need. You make a difference to people's lives at their time of need, as I said. I hope you will also be excited by the future as I am. Ahead of us, we have the opportunity to grow and improve our care to the community. We have the vision to be a leading teaching and research health service of international standard. I'm confident we will achieve that vision because of your achievements. I'll finish by thanking you again for your service each and every day. You inspire me and my board members to work together in the service of a great health service. And I ask our Chief Executive, Andrew Strip, to reflect on the past year. Enjoy your day. You have earned it.
Thank you, Deepak, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. It certainly is an extraordinary time, isn't it? And to think that we're going to be celebrating the time that people have committed and volunteered with Monash Health for up to 45 years. So tonight is our 30, 35, 40 and 45 years of service celebration recognition, and for our employees and our volunteers of 35 years, a great and extraordinary achievement. And this is our fourth night of celebration. Started last Tuesday and Wednesday, and then last night and again tonight, where we've marked the Length of Service Awards, and this is the sort of the culmination, the great celebration of such long contribution. And I suspect that whilst I'm going to talk a bit about COVID-19 tonight, and I'm sure it's, of course, is very much present in our mind, the extraordinary experience and journey that you've all been through during your time with Monash Health must have had some remarkable moments. From those of you that transitioned from Queen Victoria Hospital or Prince Henry's Hospital to what is now Monash Health, those of you that were working at Dandenong or Moorabbin before this, the Monash Medical Centre building was established. So many memories, so many extraordinary parts of your time here. We'll hear a bit about that tonight as we go through the evening. As you know, we normally do this in person, but such is the nature of 2020, where we meet over computers. talk. Here I am in my office. There's no one else here. Very different to what I like to do and enjoy, but such is the nature of our time. So we'll get on with proceedings. We'll have a chat to a few people, and we'll hear about some of their journeys. Of course, we all know that Monash Health is simply a product of its people. We know, and I think this year has shown so well, that we only are able to achieve what we do with the sort of kindness, dedication, resilience, perseverance because of you, because of the people that make up Monash Health, the people that work together, support each other, and are able to deliver the type of care that we expect to receive, not just if we were our patients or our consumers, but also, even better, the standard of care that we would aspire to achieve. It's certainly been a challenging year, hasn't it? Sort of this COVID-19 year, back at Australia Day, or just before Australia Day, when some people were sitting around watching the tennis. Our very first patient from Wuhan, China, was admitted. We weren't 100% sure. We sent the laboratory, the pathology, off to Mcgill, and they came back and told us that yes, indeed, we did have our very first patient. We didn't actually have a capacity to test and identify COVID-19 at that stage. We've got someone in pathology who I'm going to chat to a bit later, and we'll hear a bit about that journey, I suspect, the extraordinary work our pathology team's done. And then, as you know, we started to get prepared. We responded, did a lot of training of our nurses, of our doctors, of everybody that was in a patient-facing role, and did that very well. Some 7,000 people trained in a very short period of time about how to wear the right PPE, and people that never really thought that they'd have to learn how to manage isolation, or people in droplet precautions. All of a sudden, we're having crash courses in infection prevention. Feels like the entire world now is an expert in infection control. But then things started to settle, and which I think we were all pleased about. We drew a breath. I think a bit nervous at the time, and then of course we know what happened, which is that our numbers started to increase, and we had to re-enter the restrictions that we'd been pushed upon us, required of us, in terms of preventing transmission in our community. And what an extraordinary time that's been. I think it's been an extraordinary time for us individually, in our home life, and in our family, not being able to leave the house for more than 4 reasons, not being able to travel further than 5 kilometres. I guess in healthcare, we were able to travel a bit further than that, weren't we? We were able to drive to work, which sometimes felt like this sort of freedom, unusual experience, being able to get out. Not many other people on the road. But as a health service, we responded, we adapted, and we continued to provide care. And we had many people admitted. I think in Victoria we got up to almost 700 people. We ended up with one of the lowest healthcare worker infections in terms of number of patients admitted in the state, through the commitment efforts of our clinical teams and for our people. And again, you're all to be congratulated for great work. Here we are today. Last Tuesday we celebrated Tuesday week, we celebrated the very last person that had been admitted, and we're now, at 35 days of no COVID infection in the state, and we enter a new chapter that we hope stays like this. We're enjoying freedoms, or it feels like freedoms, doesn't it? But really it's just a return to some level of normality. We know our job's not done. We know our job in healthcare is to set a standard, to model, to show and talk to the community about what needs to be done. And we get to draw a breath, prepare for the next phase, and also provide the care that we know has been missed or deferred because people were staying away, or simply we weren't able to do that during that period of focusing our efforts on COVID-19. But here we are tonight, and again, thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased that that a number of our board members were able to join us. You've heard from Deepak, the executive team, who are going to, many of whom are going to talk tonight. and announce our long-serving employees and volunteers that are here with us. But we do have a bright future ahead, lots to do, but again, we'll rely on the great work that you've all provided in the past, and I'm sure will into the future. So let's start proceedings and get underway. So I'd like to introduce Stuart Donaldson, our Chief Finance Officer, to share some of the names of our colleagues who have been recognised for 30 years of service. Thank you, Stuart.
Thanks, Andrew. And look, I'm absolutely delighted to be here tonight. I just want to say congratulations to everybody on this wonderful, outstanding achievement of 30 years of service to Monash Health. We as the executive team are all so very proud of you, and hopefully you're taking a moment to grab a glass of champagne, a beer, a glass of wine, sit with family and friends, and just reflect on your personal journey and the wonderful contribution that you've made to the community and to patient care. So well done everybody, congratulations, and I'm now very honoured to read out the first list of our 30-year service awardees. Araceli Aldana, Susan Barr, Maria Barr, Sani Chandar, Sally Chapman, Renato Trinella, Andre Chelinsky, Po Chong, David Clark, Karen Cliff, Gavin Clifton, Louise Corbin, Michelle Cox, Anne Cox, Sharani Dantanariana, Catherine Davis, Natalie Diebel, Rowena Evans, Lisa Felton, Patricia Ferguson, John Fernandez, Beth Favaz, Robin Fiskin, Shoba George, Judith Gonsalves, Wilhelmina Grant, Jayanthi Gunasakara, Karen Harrington, Martine Ermonts, Darren Hill, Melinda Jackman, Yogarani Giacouma, Suja Joseph, Champa Kendar Garagama, Charles Kigandu. Congratulations, everybody. And now I'd like to invite Karen Lowe, the Executive Director of People and Culture, to finish sharing the names of our outstanding colleagues who've dedicated 30 years of service to Monash Health. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night.
Thanks, Stuart, and thank you to everybody. It's really hard to express your appreciation for people who have provided this much service to our community, to our patients, to our consumers, and more importantly, to our colleagues. Because without you supporting all of the people we worked with, we would not have a health service that is this successful. So I thank you for your absolute commitment and everything you've done to help support our colleagues. Now, with that, I'm going to go to now talk to the names of our fabulous 30-year-plus employees. So we have Dana Kiley, Linda Lee, Gladys Levesque, Jared Limmock, Georgia Leotis, Helen Litter, Julia Lucas, Marilyn Massey, Alan Matthews, Anne McCurrick, Geraldine McFarland, Robert McLaughlin, Adorata Messina, Deborah Muston, Kerry Neal, Teresa Norman, Carolyn O'Donovan, Elsie O'Halloran, Janet Price, Janee Richards, Vicky Robinson, Stephen Rogers-Wilson, Louisa Shusher, Kerry Shanks, Nikki Thaniotis, Teresa Thin, Dean Tucker, Jacqueline Turner, Robert Walker, Anna Wang, Joseph Waugh, Barbara Wisnowski, Jennifer Woolard, Julia Wunderlich, Sue Yip Chi Fong, and Fiona Zacharopoulos. I really would like to extend my gratitude to these people who've just dedicated so much service to us at Monash Health, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you, Andrew, and I'm handing back to you.
Thanks, Karen. Thank you to our 30 years of service team. So now I get the great privilege of recognising a volunteer who's volunteered 35 years of service to Monash Health, 35 years of time that she could have chosen to spend in any place, but she chose to offer her time and provide that time with Monash Health. So welcome and congratulations, Janet Jenkins.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for those kind words.
Oh, it is truly my pleasure, Janet. 35 years ago, how on earth, tell us your story. How did you come to be a volunteer with Monash Health?
I was working at Springvale High School as a canteen manageress, and I read it in the newspaper, the Journal.
Okay.
I thought, I think I'd like to do that.
And were we advertising for volunteers, were we?
I think so, yes. Yeah, they just wanted to, volunteers. And I worked during the day, so I only worked at night. And when I first started, I didn't have a particular day. I filled in when no one else could come. So some weeks I did 2 or 3 nights, and then I might have a week that I didn't do any. But, yes, most weeks I worked.
Okay. And whereabouts have you volunteered, Janet?
In the kiosk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was something that I could do, in the kiosk. So I really enjoyed it. I loved working in the maternity had their own kiosk, and that was a lovely area to work. But mainly I worked in the main kiosk.
Tell us about that. So just, because I think what seems very familiar to you isn't familiar to many people. Oh. So when you say the kiosk, and you just said maternity had its own kiosk, so just tell us a bit about this.
It was a lot different, of course. And on the corner of David Street and Clough Street, I think it is, the hospital's on.
The Dandenong Hospital.
Yeah, the Dandenong Hospital. Yeah, it was a wooden structure.
Okay.
And that was the main entrance you used to go in. And that was the maternity. And they had a little kiosk there with knitted goods and toys and all those kind of things.
Yep.
And then in the main kiosk was where it is now at Dandenong, the smaller one.
Yep.
And it's where I worked, yes.
And you still work there?
No, I went from there to the patient. They closed the kiosk and that was privatised.
Yep.
And then went to the patient library.
Right.
And I worked going around with a book trolley, seeing the patients. And now the last thing is I was a patient ambassador on 4 West.
Okay.
So meeting the patients and their visitors and things like that.
I should just quickly add, I think the privatisation of the kiosk, that was before my time, Janet.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that to you. Yeah. So tell me, where are you now?
On the ward as a patient ambassador, and I just go around and chat to the patients.
Which ward, Janet?
Anything. 4 West.
And what do they do?
Well, they're mainly elderly people, but we do get the younger ones at times, so it's a mixture.
Yeah. And largely going around and chatting to people. I'm sure you have a lot of nice chats, and I'm sure there are some big smiles.
Yes. The one man that stands out to me was Patrick Dangerfield, the footballer's grandfather, step-grandfather.
Right.
The proudest man, and everybody in the hospital knew that he was Patrick Dangerfield's grandfather.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lovely memory. Some of them told me things of when they, if they come from overseas. Mainly men seem to want to talk about things like that.
Talk about.
Yes. So
where they talk about what? Sorry.
From where they came from.
Okay.
In Greece or Italy or anywhere. Yep. And they were lovely. They're all lovely people.
It's a great thing about healthcare, isn't it? That we will provide treatment and care to anyone, even a person that plays for Geelong.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know whether that's right, but we did.
No, we are committed to providing treatment and care to anybody, no matter where they come from.
No.
Dandenong's a very diverse and rich community, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very, yes.
Which must make your experience quite interesting as well.
Yes, yes. You know, I just enjoyed it. I enjoy every moment of it. You know, I never know who I'm going to meet when I go in. Very rarely do I meet the same people twice because, you know, they go on. Occasionally we see some that come back, but yes, no, it's been a wonderful experience.
How's this year been for you, Janet? I'm sure it's been quite a challenge.
It's been awful. I live on my own, but I've got a very good family, and yes, I haven't enjoyed the middle part of the year. Now I'm starting to get out about again. So yes, no, I wish it was all finished, but it's not. I know.
I think it's and I think saying it's awful is very honest, Janet. It's certainly been that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We shouldn't pretend about the fact that it's not been a pleasant experience. And as you say, let's hope it's settling and it's still there. And let's hope everything that we're all doing is going to prevent that. How are you going? You're doing very well on this, Janet. Sort of the WebEx.
Well, I had my daughter come and make sure it was all right.
Oh, okay. Well, she's done a great job.
Yeah, she is. Yes, they're very. The other one wanted to come too, but I thought they'd make fun of me and I'd end up laughing.
Well, I hope they've brought a bottle of champagne to share with them and celebrate.
Probably.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. Janet, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And
thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much for all your years of service. It's been, it's
Look, I've met
so important.
Wonderful people, and today I went out for lunch and I just realised that there are 3 people I met from the hospital as volunteers. So I still keep in touch with everybody.
It's amazing the sort of the stories and the family stories and life stories that such a large place like this provides.
Yeah.
We've got an interesting person. Somebody we're going to interview a little bit later has got a very interesting family story. I think you've got a little insight into that because you were here in the pre-show part, but we'll come to that a bit later.
Oh, yes.
Thank you again, Janet, and take care and congratulations.
Thank you, Andrew.
So it's my pleasure to invite Andrew Block, our Chief Transformation Officer, who's going to announce the names of our colleagues who have been recognised for 35 years of service.
Thanks, Andrew. So a couple of things I'd like to say. First is to express on behalf of Monash Health the gratitude that the community of Melbourne owes to you for the service to healthcare over such a long period of time. As I've said on previous evenings, your contribution over this period of time has made a significant impact on the lives of many of the members of our community. And the other thought I'd like to share just before I read out this quite elite group is I was reflecting as we saw the opening video, as we stepped through the history of Monash. And when the 35-year mark came, I thought, gosh, the amount of change that has taken place, not only for Monash with the commencement of the Monash Medical Centre in Clayton, but healthcare across the board. And it struck me how much experience and the witness that these people have made to healthcare's change over that period of time, seeing the Monash Medical Centre start and come through to the high-tech distributed models of healthcare that we see at the moment. Gosh, the stories that you could tell. So may I begin by honouring these people and reading out the following names. Thank you for 35 years of service to Carol Besley, to Elizabeth Brown, to Karen P. Brown, Marie Cheney, Maida Cooper, Cheryl Crew, Nuala Daly, James Dowry, Lucy Gugazian, Marie Ithier, Vivian Jose, Bettina Ketz, Pamela Latimer, Mark Lawrence, Donald Martin, Karen Mills, Kim Minette, Cora Flor Novotny, Floriana Oesterveen, Susan O'Sullivan, Ian Presnell, Harry Prosser, Kim Ray, Heather Reynolds, Mahmood Sakawoff, Catherine Shepherd, David Shipp, Annalise Stevenson, Gianna Thomas, Catherine Tompkins, Kim Tucker, Mary Watson, and Rodney White. Thank you for 35 years of service to Monash and to our community. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew Block. So we're now going to recognise those who have dedicated 40 years of service to Monash Health. And we're going to start off by Angela Julia, our Chief Medical Officer, to share some of the stories of our employees who have reached 40 years of service. Thanks, Angela.
Thanks, Andrew. What a great experience it has been, for the last 4 days, celebrating and recognizing the long and dedicated services of a whole lot of our colleagues. And today is the grand finale, and today we're celebrating colleagues who have actually dedicated 4 decades of service to Monash Health. What an amazing milestone. And thank you for dedicating such a big part of your life to this organization. It is people like you that make Monash Health the place that it is, the great place that it is. So it is my pleasure to read out some testimonials for 6 of our employees today who have worked at Monash Health for 40 years. Starting off with Anna Barrett, enrolled nurse, Ward 34, Monash Medical Centre. Anna is a recently retired enrolled nurse and practiced on Ward 34 as an enrolled nurse for a great number of years. Anna was presented with many challenges whilst working on the ward and managed to continually provide excellent care for her patients. She showed compassion and kindness to her patients, their families, and her team. Anna was well known amongst her colleagues for her love of her fur babies, her cats. She would often have a picture on hand or a story to tell, should someone ask. She may have retired, but Anne's contributions to the ward will not be forgotten. Congratulations, Anne, on 40 years of service. And apologies, I think I initially called you Anna. But thank you, Anne, and I'm sure your presence made the ward such a wonderful place. Jacqueline Botoff, clinical specialist nurse, Ward 34, Monash Medical Centre. Jackie has been nursing for 51 years, having trained at the Alfred before working in several city-based hospitals to gain broad experience. Jackie came to Moorabbin in 1980 to see about a job and came out with a uniform over her arm. Some of the highlights of those early days focused on people, particularly Nurse Unit Manager Liz Spencer, Professor Richard King, and Matron L. Wilkes, both legendary figures in our history. She also remembers Moorabbin as having the best food. Jackie came over to Monash Medical Centre, Clayton, to work with Kim Forrest when orthopedics transferred in 1994. She now works on 34 North at Clayton and has done for as long as anyone can remember. She looks after surgical patients. Jackie enjoys spending time to establish a rapport with her patients. She feels very privileged that she can care for people who are going through a difficult time. Jackie really enjoys contributing to the team and brings a lifetime of experience to share. The younger nurses enjoy working with her, and she is well respected by her peers. The patients enjoy her care, possibly because she brings a bit of the old school nursing, like fluffing their pillows. Jackie, thank you, and congratulations on 40 years with Monash Health. The next person I'm going to recognize is Suzanne Cragan. Suzanne started her time with Monash Health at Dandenong Hospital in 1980. She worked in several wards, but after settling in ICU, never looked back. Sue is always respectful and diligent and has a calm, professional, patient-focused approach to her work. She fully embraces the diversity of presentations at Dandenong and laughs that there's never a dull moment here. Sue has always been willing to try new roles within ICU. She fully embraced EMR, despite some initial fears, continues to preceptor new team members, and has worked tirelessly in ICU during COVID. In a remarkable display of resilience, Sue raised a family as a working single mum, all while completing her graduate certificate in critical care. Sue is an avid gardener with an enviable garden. As part of the ICU Garden Gnomes group, she mentors some of our younger and less green-thumbed nurses and doctors. I would love to have some tips from you, Sue. Thank you, Sue, and congratulations on 40 years of service. The next person on my list is Ratimalar Kandapar, a registered nurse, Pathology Collections, Dandenong Hospital. Rati completed her training as a registered nurse in Sydney before moving to Melbourne. She began her career at Monash Health at the then Dandenong District Hospital. Rati worked in various areas of the hospital, including the Lions Ward, later called Southwest 4, and in Pathology Collections, where she continues to work as a registered nurse to this day. Rati is described by her colleagues as supportive, caring, always smiling, and a great friend, showing dedication and compassion to her co-workers and patients. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience as a mentor to both nursing and pathology students. The team says Rati is someone you can rely upon for support, professionally and personally. She goes above and beyond to help whenever it is required. She received the iCare Award in 2014 for compassion after a parent sent a letter of thanks, commenting that Rati had made she and her child feel safe while collecting a blood sample. Her family at Dandenong Hospital congratulates her on her amazing achievement of 40 years of service. Congratulations, Rati. Jill Kennedy, Emergency Department Clerk, Dandenong Hospital. Jill started with the Dandenong Emergency Department 40 years ago as a weekend and public holiday reliever before moving into afternoon shift and eventually full-time day shift. ED is Jill's passion. She brings a wealth of knowledge, which includes how the emergency department worked from a paper-based system right through to our current status with the electronic medical record. Jill is hardworking and is highly regarded for her support and knowledge. Jill's compassion and the ability to anticipate the needs of others is outstanding. Jill is described as a professional who makes decisions in a timely manner and delivers on time, every time, with a smile. Jill has a genuine concern for her patients and visitors and is highly tolerant even under pressure, helping people feel comfortable even in critical situations. Thank you and congratulations, Jill, on 40 years of service. Next is Jenny Leong, Clinical Nurse Specialist, Monash Newborn and Monash Medical Centre. Jenny started her career in Queenwick Hospital 40 years ago. She now works as a nurse within Monash Newborn team at Monash Medical Centre. She brings an endless supply of knowledge and a brilliant work ethic to the team. Jenny's colleagues describe her as a tireless hard worker and a dry sense of humour. She is vibrant and sociable with an infectious laugh an invaluable member of the team. Her manager says, "You are always comforted knowing that Jenny is on a shift with you." What a great recommendation. Congratulations, Jenny, and thank you for your 40 years of service. So I think I'm now handing over to Louise Canis, Executive Director, Public Affairs and Communication, to continue sharing the story of our colleagues who have dedicated 40 years to Monash Health. Thank you, Louise.
Thanks, Anjali. I'm so proud to share stories of another 6 employees who've supported us at Monash Health for 40 years. And the first of my 6 is Fik Sim Lim, who's a senior physiotherapist at Dandenong Hospital. Affectionately known as Pickles by colleagues and patients, Fik Sim brings an infectious smile to work with her every day. When describing her job, she says that she keeps people moving so that they can be discharged as soon as possible. This can be difficult on a surgical ward as patients are experiencing pain, but they definitely thank her when they're ready to go home. Over her years at Monash Health, Fik Sim has embraced many changes and adapted to challenging circumstances enthusiastically. Most recently, Fik Sim found herself being relocated to a new clinical setting due to COVID-19. Being in a new environment was challenging, but Fik Sim stepped up to the task, learning new processes to deliver excellent care to her patients. Fik Sim is a shining example of the dedication and excellence we strive for at Monash Health. Thank you, Fik Sim, for 40 years of service. I'd now like to share a little bit about Karen Mcgill, an enrolled nurse at Ward H at Casey Hospital. Karen is an enrolled nurse and has worked in subacute care at both Kingston Centre and Casey Hospital. In her early career at Kingston, Karen had a role in the initial Falls program and was involved in a research program about dementia. Now, Karen is a dedicated and valued part of the Ward H team at Casey. Ward H is a subacute ward which caters for diverse patients aged from 18 to 100 years, providing both rehabilitation and geriatric evaluation management. Karen is passionate about providing outstanding patient care and says her fondest moments are helping patients achieve their goals and ensuring their dignity is maintained. Karen is loved by her patients, especially for her sense of humour. She always has a joke and a laugh to brighten their day. Karen is well known on the ward for her loud voice, which she says is a good thing because it helps those hard of hearing, and also for her often beautiful pink-dyed hair. She's also heavily involved in infection prevention and auditing and educating employees to assist in maintaining hand hygiene compliance. Never have we seen that is as important as it is as this year. Karen is the perennial organiser of the Melbourne Cup sweep for the team and to bring a bit of cheer and fun to the long-staying rehab patients. Karen, thank you for all you do for Ward H and for every one of your patients. You are one of a kind. Clark Mackintosh is a senior mechanical tradesman engineer in the engineering department at Moorabbin Hospital. Clark has seen many changes over 40 years and his knowledge is invaluable. He solves many technical problems and keeps the building and machinery running. He works extremely well with the whole engineering team and leads by example, assisting anyone when the opportunity arises. Clark has a good sense of humour, which helps the team get through those longer days. He is well liked by both his colleagues and people throughout the organisation. Although he is a quiet achiever who prefers to stay out of the limelight, his years of hard work and dedication deserve recognition. So Clark, thank you and congratulations on your 40 years of service. Next, I'd like to acknowledge Adele Medal, who's a clinical nurse specialist in the operating theatre at Dandenong Hospital. Adele has been managing the gynae and obstetric portfolio at Dandenong Hospital for many years. Adele's kind and gentle approach to her work makes her a favourite with our graduate nurses. Her generous and giving nature has helped shape an open workplace culture, and don't we know how important that is? Her team say they are eternally grateful to have someone in their department with an excellent knowledge base who's always willing to help and who goes above and beyond for her patients and colleagues. Outside of work, Adele is an amazing cook and is a major contributor to the success of the notorious Dandenong Operating Theatre Christmas parties. She also never hesitates in helping to support fundraising events. Thank you and congratulations, Adele, on your 40-year milestone. Next, I'd like to acknowledge Jerry Sadler, who's the Senior Plumber from Engineering Services at Monash Medical Centre. Jerry came from an external company and started his journey with Monash Health at the Queen Victoria Hospital in the engineering department. In those days, engineering carried out new works, maintenance and renovations. His work has always been exemplary. Jerry is our leading hand plumber and has been involved in all the major redevelopment projects at the Monash Medical Centre, Clayton, as an advisor and team leader. Jerry can be relied on to get things done, no matter what is asked of him, and is the first to respond if needed. His team say he has a consistent willingness to help where he can. Jerry brings a vast technical knowledge of his trade, gathered through years of experience and intimate knowledge of our facilities. On top of that, he's always helpful and supportive with his internal and external customers and contractors. Jerry is loyal, trustworthy, dependable, non-flappable, and has a great sense of humour. Congratulations, Jerry, for your 40 years of service to Monash Health. Michelle Sadler is a ward clerk and former midwife in the Women's and Newborn Outpatient Service. Michelle started her 40-year journey with the health service at Prince Henry's Hospital in 1980. She made the move over to Southern Health, which of course is now Monash Health, as a midwife at Dandenong Hospital in 1984. She now uses her extensive midwifery skills and experience to provide support to the outpatients clinic of Monash Women's and Newborn as the ward clerk, a role she's held since 2015. We're told Michelle relishes this role and makes the most valuable contribution. Her team just love everything about Michelle. They say she's amazing. She's thoughtful, patient, kind and considerate. She always has time to answer their questions. Michelle is knowledgeable, unflappable, a consistently hard worker, and that quintessential salt of the earth. Thank you, Michelle, and congratulations on your 40 years of service. Just before I hand over to our Chief Nurse and Midwifery Officer, Katrina Nankervis, I would just like to say how heartwarming it has been and humbling to read and hear the many stories of the service so many of you give to us all at Monash Health every day. So thank you so much. Katrina, over to you.
Thanks, Louise. Congratulations, everyone. When I've been hearing the stories, I'm left in absolutely no doubt as to why Monash Health is such a wonderful place to work. With you all contributing the way you have over so many decades, you just contribute to that and make it the place that it is. So thank you. I have another 6 people I'd like to acknowledge and share a little bit about their story at Monash Health with you all. So to dive in, Geraldine Scanlon. Geraldine's a registered nurse on Casual Bank and Special Care Nursery at Monash Medical Centre. Geraldine worked with some of our smallest and most vulnerable patients when she started out as a nurse in the Special Care Nursery at Monash Medical Centre in 1980. She moved to the Casual Bank in April 2019 and continued to provide support in the Special Care Nursery, where her colleagues say she brings enormous knowledge and skills gained over the length of her career. Geraldine's known for always being willing to lend a hand when help is needed. She's a great communicator, adaptable, friendly and approachable. Recently, she's taken a leave of absence to concentrate on family. Thanks, Geraldine, and congratulations. 40 years of service, fantastic. Thank you. Bernadette Smith. Bernadette's a ward clerk on the Avery ward at Monash Children's Hospital. Some would argue when you first arrive at hospital nervous and worried, the most important person is the ward clerk. The friendly face you see when you arrive at the Avery ward at Monash Children's Hospital is Bernie Smith. Bernie started at the Queen Vic Hospital 40 years ago. She recognises that ward clerks play a crucial role in helping patients, parents and clinical staff feel safe, calm, know what to do and where to go. It's all about making everyone feel more comfortable. Bernie has been at Monash Children's for 2 years and describes the team as a wonderful bunch. She's proud to see the development of her colleagues, especially as she follows the journey of student doctors through to seeing them working as consultants. Bernie has also been imparting her wisdom to the next generation, training other ward clerks. I tell them to come in with a big smile, take a deep breath, be happy and confident, and just be yourself. Such great advice. Bernie met her husband at Queen Vic and has been married for 35 years, saying her proudest achievement is becoming a grandmother. It's little wonder then that she loves working with children and seeing them every day at Monash Children's. When they get well and go home, it brings a big smile to my face, Bernie says. Congratulations, Bernie, on 40 fabulous years. Vivian Southern, Associate Nurse Manager, Unit 3, Mental Health Program, Dandenong Hospital. Vivian describes her career as starting in the generation of nurses who wore caps, capes and veils. Vivian, I'm very jealous. Vivian began her time at Monash Health at the Kingston Centre in 1980 and stayed for 25 years. She started as an enrolled nurse and went on to become a registered nurse. 15 years ago, Vivian made the move to Dandenong Hospital, where she works as an Associate Nurse Unit Manager in the Mental Health Program on Unit 3. She has witnessed many changes over the journey, resulting in the health service we have today. One of the many progressive improvements Vivian has seen during her time includes the introduction of maternity and paternity leave, and aren't they great improvements? She has reached 40 years of service and plans to continue working for a few more years. COVID-19 has reminded Vivian she's not ready to retire just yet. Congratulations on 40 years and many more to come, Vivian. Thank you. Michael Wheeler, Pathology Operations Manager, Monash Medical Centre. Michael started his career with us as a trainee scientist at Dandenong Hospital in 1980, training in all disciplines before moving into haematology and specialising in coagulation. In 1997, with the establishment of Southern Health and the merger of laboratories, he was appointed the Principal Scientist of Haematology at Monash Medical Centre and has been involved in haematology diagnostic research. Michael is a Fellow of the Australian Institute of Medical Scientists and has been recognised with the George Milson Memorial Award for significant service to the medical science profession. Fabulous achievement. Michael has represented Monash Health at scientific meetings nationally and internationally and sits on national committees for AIMS and the Medicare Pathology Services Advisory Committee. Since July 2019, Michael has been working as the Pathology Operations Manager, and his colleagues describe him as enthusiastic, innovative, hardworking, someone who will always make you smile. When he's away from work, Michael loves playing keyboards and travelling with his family. Well, Michael, I hope you get back to being able to do that travel very soon. Congratulations and thank you on 40 years. Suzanne Swann, Clinical Pharmacist, Dandenong Hospital. Suzanne started at Dandenong Hospital in 1980 as a newlywed and newly qualified pharmacist. It was a brand new role and she was very enthusiastic. Suzanne chose hospital pharmacy as a career path because of her significant interest in clinical pharmacy. This passion is the reason she's still doing the job she loves 40 years on. Suzanne has enjoyed the opportunities offered at Monash Health, particularly around the development and interaction of interdisciplinary teams. She also has a strong commitment to teaching the next generation. Suzanne oversees the pharmacy students on placement at the Dandenong campus. She's also a student preceptor for Monash University and is credentialed to complete ClinCats for pharmacists. Clinical education and sharing her knowledge are what drives Suzanne, whether that's in one-on-one conversation, in teams, or through initiatives such as program continuous quality improvement committees and grand rounds. She's helpful, caring, and patient-focused. Thank you, Suzanne, and congratulations on 40 years of service. To Julie Woolsey. Julie's an Associate Nurse Manager in the Intensive Care Unit at Dandenong Hospital. Julie Woolsey names her greatest achievements at Monash Health as all the opportunities she's been given, including being a critical care nurse, an Associate Nurse Unit Manager and an Outreach Registered Nurse. Her wealth of experience is demonstrated in her skill and leadership on the ward. When Julie reflects on her years of service, her fondest memories relate to her colleagues and how much she enjoys working with them. She speaks to the great culture of her unit and how much she values looking after critically ill patients and their families. Julie demonstrates kindness, compassion and leadership when engaging with colleagues, patients and their families, and is a shining example of the people who deliver excellent care at Monash Health. Thank you, Julie, and congratulations on this remarkable achievement. I'd like to extend my gratitude to these 6 people and to everyone else celebrating tonight for their incredible service to Monash Health. You really do make a difference and you make us who we are. Thank you, and back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, team. What a great list and reflection of some extraordinary time of people who have been with us at Monash Health. You mentioned Michael Wheeler, Katrina, so Michael's here with us tonight, as are, I think, everyone, but Michael's going to have a chat to me. Michael, are you there?
Yep. Can you see me? I'm here.
I can, Michael.
Excellent.
How are you doing tonight?
Very well. Just writing some submissions for capital equipment and hopefully you'll approve.
Oh, I'm sure we'll be on the ball. Pathology's had a pretty good run, Michael.
It has.
And it's been an extraordinary year for the pathology team, hasn't it?
It has. The COVID, pandemic has certainly created some challenges for us. To put things sort of into perspective, at the start of the year we were doing probably 100 to 200 respiratory virus tests a day. And then, of course, when the pandemic started, we were asked to expand to about 1,000 tests a day. And, more recently up to 4,000 tests a day. So there's been a lot of challenges in terms of getting equipment from all around the world to be able to meet these requirements. And then we've got to get the staff to be able to use the equipment well. And then, of course, laboratory space as well. So it's been a massive amount of work by everyone in pathology, everyone.
I'm really glad you talk about that, Michael, because I think it's a bit invisible to some people, isn't it? That they come in, they have their test, and then they want the result a few hours later, and what's the problem? And I think what you've just said is that there's an extraordinary amount of work that goes on behind the scenes to be able to expand and deliver this. I mean, it's 12 months ago, you didn't even know about what this test was. You didn't know how to do it, didn't know how to collect it, didn't even know what it was. So within less than 12 months, we've gone from 0 to 100 and continuing to grow. And we know that for Victoria, a key and absolute fundamental part of success in relation to responding to COVID-19 is a rapid turnaround in pathology. Again, something that people don't recognise, and so that your success is actually a significant part of the sort of the capacity for us to be able to get out and walk more than 5 kilometres away from our house. It's a great achievement, Michael.
Yeah, it's really, as we said earlier, team effort. Like we've got 4,000 tests potentially coming in a day, and that requires a lot of paperwork. That requires the training of the staff to answer phone calls relating to results that they may not have received, and of course they're all very nervous about them. They might have aeroplane flights, they might have operations coming up. So, there's been a lot of staff training and, just getting the equipment on board and laboratories built to suit this purpose is, it's challenging, but then that's been part of the fun of working in this organisation. We've had to do this for the last 40 years. If you sort of look back, when I first started, we were doing probably 200 or 300 tests a day. Now we're doing, 4,000 or 5,000 tests a day on highly roboticized, automated, computer-controlled analyzers, and it's, all with the purpose of trying to get out very good results in a short period of time for the patient care. So it's been a fantastic journey. It's always been interesting, and the people you work with, I think they're the main things that keep people here.
It was great to come up and have a walk around just recently with the team and meet a few of the people and have a look at the extraordinary things you've done with putting new machines in cupboards almost. Pretty impressive.
It's challenging.
But again, it sort of comes back to what I was talking about, is that, people come into the emergency department or they're admitted to the hospital, we take blood, and it's sort of like the result will magically appear, whereas the work that you're doing, the sort of the flows, the process, making sure these things don't get lost, making sure that they get into the right program is so critical to success, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. We're lucky we've got very good analysers and very good staff working on analysers. And I think, our main aim is to provide quality pathology results in a cost-effective environment. And to do that, you have to have very good staff. And we're lucky that we're supported by yourself and the executive to be able to put on appropriate people that can do these tasks. So, it's been great.
Great success with expanding down to Bass Coast and supporting the people of West Gippsland.
Yeah, I think that was another great thing we've done. I think as a public pathology provider, I'd like to think we serve the community, and not just Monash Health, but also a lot of our patients at Monash Health, they come from Gippsland areas as far as Pakenham, down to Kooya, up to Leong, to Wonthaggi. Now that we have a laboratory down there, that just makes it easier for the patients to, they don't have to travel, 2 hours to Melbourne, have their blood tests and then travel home again. They can now have it done locally. And we arrange it all thereafter and have the results back to their doctors, hopefully within a day or two. So it's all about, serving the community. That's what we're here for.
40 years, a particular memory you want to share with us, Michael?
Lots. hard to mention a specific one. I remember early days when I was on call as a young scientist at Dandenong, and in those days it was only one scientist on duty overnight, and we had to do everything, haematology, biochem, micro, a lot. And I'd get the on-call from the switchboard saying, there's been a bus praying on coming back from Phillip Island with tourists, the penguin tourists. I thought, oh my goodness, 40, 50 patients coming in, and fortunately we only got a couple, but my heart slowed down about 5 days later.
Understandable. Now, Katrina mentioned that you love to travel. So where's your as soon as the gates are open and we're allowed out of Australia, where are you off to, Michael?
I've got a list.
And you've got it. Where's number one?
Probably South America next month.
Where it's at?
I'd probably like to do the usual sort of Machu Picchu, Rio, Grazi Falls, that kind of thing. I'm lucky. My wife loves to travel, and I've got a fairly large family, and we do a lot of travelling around Australia as well. We have family gets-togethers regularly, and that's about 20 people to various places, and it's great. I love Australia, and I love looking around the rest of the places.
Where was the last overseas trip?
It was actually India and Nepal. We did a bit of a thing through the northern part of India into Nepal, and then finished off in Hong Kong. My wife had a conference, so that was lovely. But yeah, we had a few last year, but this year, sorry, but they were cancelled because of COVID. So we'll put them on the agenda next year.
I think there's probably a few people on the call that know what you're talking about. Michael, thank you very much for joining us and having a chat. And congratulations on your length of service. You're a real asset to the team, and thank you for everything you do.
My pleasure. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
So we are now at a point where we're going to celebrate our 45-year employees. A further extraordinary achievement, and again, a sort of a commitment of a significant part of people's lives and experience to the community we serve. It's my pleasure to invite Martin Keogh, our Chief Operating Officer. We're looking forward to seeing Martin with great anticipation, having seen the standard set by Stuart Donaldson and Katrina. So Martin, are you there?
I'm here, Andrew.
Very good. There you are. No fascinator, Martin?
No hair to hold it, Andrew.
I think I might just leave that one, Martin, and hand over to you.
Thanks, Andrew, and good evening to everybody. You know, what an extraordinary night. Yet again, as others have said, the fourth in our series this year, and obviously our longest serving employees and volunteers being celebrated tonight. I'll get Stuart Donaldson to check these figures because, as everybody knows, and Stuart would say, I'm not the best at math, but I've done a quick count, and collectively tonight there is 4,220 years of collective service within our recipients, our 127 recipients tonight. What an extraordinary number, and the experience and the sense of change that this group we've heard about tonight and the journey they've travelled in their careers is just, really amazing to hear. And I've got four very special people to celebrate tonight that have achieved 45 years of service within Monash Health. And as you will hear again, the change that these people have both led and been part of across their journey and career is, quite inspiring to listen to. So the first recipient is Cheryl Abbott, an enrolled nurse who now works night shift at Dandenong Hospital. So Cheryl began her nursing career in late 1972 at the Royal Women's Hospital before moving to Dandenong Hospital in 1975. Cheryl worked in all wards during days before beginning to work night shift, where she has remained ever since. Cheryl describes that she trained in an era where time management was a real key skill for a nurse, and is something that she now coaches and teaches other younger and new nurses within our organisation. She loves being a member of a team and showing others the ropes. She's known as a doer. Nothing like a good nurse doer, Cheryl. So Cheryl never stops for a moment, ensuring all the nursing and medical staff are up to date with their work across the night. She still loves her role and always is on the go. Cheryl says she will talk to anybody and admits she can be a bit noisy at times on nights. She brings a sense of humour to the unit, and as a result, patients love to chat with her. Even after having the most chaotic night duties filled with everything from codes to fires to having her number plate stolen while at work, she never stops laughing. Cheryl, thank you and congratulations on 45 amazing years of service at Monash Health. So our second recipient is one of two further pathology long-serving members of our Monash Health family. We've just heard from Michael, and I've got another Michael Daskalakis. He's a pathology trials manager at Monash Medical Centre. In what has been a very big year, as we've heard, for pathology and the pathologists, Michael started in Prince Henry's Hospital, initially working in biochemistry in 1975. When Prince Henry's and Queen Vic Hospital merged in 1987, Michael moved across to Monash Medical Centre, where he has worked as a supervisor in the protein laboratory. Michael's current role is a pathologist trials manager, co-coordinating pathology trials and research activities. He told us he likes to fly under the radar. Well, Michael, no such luck tonight. Quite rightly, you hopefully are with your family and friends and celebrating 45 years of great, loyal and dedicated service, something that is definitely worthy of some attention and recognition tonight. So Michael also likes to travel. It may be something within the pathology team system. He enjoys to returning to Greece on holidays. So again, hopefully you'll be able to do that in the not too distant future, Michael, with his family, and unfortunately, he supports the Collingwood Football Club. Thank you and congratulations, Michael, on 45 years of service. The second 45-year pathology recipient is Kevin Erickson, Director of Pathology Services, Monash Medical Centre. Kevin started his career at Dandenong Hospital in 1975, initially as a trainee medical scientist. He worked in many areas of the laboratory at Dandenong before moving to Monash Medical Centre as the laboratory manager. With the creation of Southern Health in 1996, Kevin was appointed initially as the Pathology Operations Manager, then Scientific Director, and finally as the Director of Pathology. Kevin was instrumental in the rollout of the laboratory automation, with Monash Health being the first public pathology service in Australia to implement this technology. And I recall when I first commenced at Monash Health and I was wandering around visiting all the various areas, Kevin took me on a tour of the automated pathology lab at Monash Medical Centre, and I can just remember being completely blown away about what had been created up there, having not seen it in any other public health service that I'd been part of. It's quite an extraordinary logistics and innovation that is still obviously evolving, as we've heard from Michael Wheeler just before. Kevin has been a Victorian State Representative on the National Pathology Accreditation Advisory Committee and Medicare Pathology Advisory Board Committees, as well as past President of the Australian Institute of Medical Scientists. And I'm informed that Kevin's representative role on that National Accreditation Committee is he was the first technician as opposed to a pathologist to be on that committee. So congratulations on that as well, Kevin. Kevin was a worthy recipient of the Ames George Washington Christie Memorial Award, which recognised an inspirational medical scientist who has shown ongoing excellence in the field. Kevin has been a passionate, dedicated, respectful and professional worker, always working towards the improvement of the pathology service to better serve our patients and with a strong commitment to his people. Kevin is a keen golfer and enjoys nothing more than spending time with his family. Kevin is already enjoying some long service leave on his way to retirement in December of this year. Well, we're in December now, Kevin, so not long to go. Please enjoy the spoils of many years of hard work, Kevin, and congratulations and thank you on your 45 years of service. And the fourth of our 45-year recipients is Dominica Davies, a senior pathologist and lead pharmacist, senior pharmacist and lead pharmacist in the non-sterile compounding area of our Monash Medical Centre. Dominica started as an intern in Queen Vic Hospital in the city, having vowed never to work there. A last-minute change of heart and circumstances led her on a journey which has impacted her personal and professional life ever since. Dominic works compounding special non-sterile pharmaceutical items that are not available commercially. Her time at Monash her time at Monash has seen such enormous change and remembers the first day a computer was introduced to the pharmacy. It only took her a few minutes to be converted. as the computer had produced and saved 13 medication labels in the time she could do one on the trusty old typewriter. She is proud of the changes and improvements she's seen over the decades, particularly the opportunity to be involved in a progressive approach to hospital pharmacy. In the clinical sense, it was a revolutionary time as the pharmacists came out of the pharmacy and started to join in ward rounds with medical consultants to see how medications were being used and their impact on the patients, leading to greater involvement in patient care. Dominica was the first pharmacist invited to a grand round, the only woman in the room, the first pharmacist to do paediatric ward rounds. Dominica says she has still not lost her excitement for pharmacy 45 years later. It is a family affair for the Davies at Monash Health. Dominica's husband, Jeffrey, has also worked for 43 years at Monash Health and was one of her interns when he first started out. Dominica's daughter, Grace, is now a doctor at Monash Children's Hospital. What an extraordinary family involvement in Monash Health. Congratulations to you all. Her team wants us to know that Dominica is so much more than a pharmacist and a leader. She's a mentor, mother figure, and lights up their days. What a legacy. Congratulations and thank you, Dominica. And I think now, Andrew, I am throwing back to you and we're going to hear more from the Davies family.
Thanks, Martin. And a few people have texted me to say they were relieved that didn't jump into the Carlton football jumper, although there are some suggestions for a Carlton fascinator, Martin. There's an interesting look. Having said that, Dominica, are you there?
Hello.
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 I can see you've received your certificate.
Yes, it just arrived behind the door.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Nicely, and a bunch of flowers.
A bunch of flowers. That was from my sister-in-law.
Oh, very nice. And I was saying to you just before we went to air, so to speak, that I recognised your face because for the last 3 nights we've seen you in the little video clip that we've been showing.
I'm overwhelmed.
So, 45 years of service. What a great journey.
Yes, and I think was just summed up amazingly because that's the truth of the matter. I never intended to do pharmacy and never intended to ever work in a pharmacy department. And here I am.
What happened? How did that happen?
Oh, how I got to, well, to actually study pharmacy, I thought, counting tablets, I'll never do that. But I had an uncle in Melbourne who was a doctor, and I was at St Mary's St Mary's School, where we just did, a little bit of geography, a little bit of, not much physics, no sciences, no chemistry. He said, no niece of mine is not going to be doing chemistry and physics. So he shipped me off to the local state school, and I got to do those subjects and ended up, didn't want to even do pharmacy. I was going to do speech therapy. My godmother says, what's this speech therapy? Do pharmacy, it's good for a girl. And she sent me to the local, this was on the day it happened, she sent me to the local pharmacy, and he started telling me the subjects, zoology, physiology, biology. I thought, wow, chemistry, yes. So I rang up the pharmacy college, I think it was a Dr. Vaughan, was it? And he said, yes, your marks will get you in, but you need to come in today. And here I am, and enrolled.
Well done. Do you remember your first day on the job?
Yes, I do. I walked in, and my 3 years of pharmacy college, I hope nobody's listening from there, or whiteout. And I just went through the paces. Just did what I had to do, got through. First day at the Queen Vic, magic. It was progressive. I was part of the team. I was involved. It never stopped being that progressiveness, and I was excited, loved it, committed.
I can imagine that 45 years ago there would have been a fair amount of actually making up the medications.
Well, it's interesting you ask that because the medication, there was a lot. My first probably month was making up chlorhexidine in alcohol. It would make 80 litres at a time and pack it into litre bottles to disinfect the beds and things. So we know how far that we've come with that. Thank goodness we're not.
How do you make chlorhexidine?
Oh. Well, I have a formula. I'll show you privately if you like. And then we also made up lots of creams and ointments for doctor nurses, dermatology department. That was pretty big. And as we all know, the Queen Vic bath oils and stuff originated there.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we did make quite a lot, but very basic. So it was very much a dungeon thing, but we were starting to move into making parental nutrition. We had Professor Robert McMahon, and for those of you who are a little bit older, well, I don't think there's anybody thinks.
No one older than me.
No one older than me. But so we have Professor McMahon making up formulas for our prem babies. And this was all starting. Cytotoxic started at this time as well, like in the first years. And yes, the ward.
Is there much of that today where you have to actually make up a medication?
Okay, so what we've been talking about before was a mixture of sterile work and aseptic, and it was beautifully explained. I do the non-aseptic now. We've been, before we used to rotate once a month in all departments. Now everything's so big and so specialised. We have become specialists in each field. So mine is non-sterile compounding, and the need is still there because we everyone knows tertiary and quaternary hospital. We have patients who've been to their local pharmacy, been to their local doctor, been maybe even to a private hospital. Whatever is available hasn't done what it needs to do, and the consultants are faced with needing to think laterally and further. What else can we try that hasn't been tried? And it usually means asking lots of questions, doing research, and trying to make something where something isn't readily available formula-wise or even ingredients, and trying to make it safely for ourselves who are handling it, for the patient and for the environment.
Dominica, there's a lot of people on the call that have no idea about what happens in a pharmacy, and probably when they're thinking of you mixing up medications, they're thinking of you having a big pasta pot on the stove, a big wooden spoon, stirring it around. Do you want to just give us a little window into actually what happens?
Okay, I'll tell them that then if it was 47 years ago as an intern, we actually had a big pot like this with sugar, and we'd make 66% sugar and make our own syrup. For all those who make jam, 66% is the preserving amount. We now buy all our syrup, so we've moved on quite a lot. So what do? We have a little pestle and mortar. We make up a lot of suspensions, which are where we have to crush tablets, and we need to make them in a format where we can have a measurable dose. And the dose has to sit long enough in the solution so that it can be measured. So we will make suspensions if they're not dissolvable. We'll make solutions. Oh, my daughter's just brought me a little pestle and mortar. This is just a little pretend one here. But the reality is we do use that for suspension. But we make creams and ointments on a slab with spatulas. We make whatever's needed, and we call on what resources we have.
Martin mentioned that it's been a bit of a family affair. Do you want to introduce some of your family to us?
Well, I think again I summed it up beautifully. But Jeffrey is here. He
Hello, Andrew.
Back in 1977, I was out a few years, and I was asked to run the intern training program. And Jeffrey was one of my first interns in 1977. And that was it really, because as I alluded to before, we used to move around the department every month. We would rotate, and we didn't seem to work together. We seemed to follow each other. And then when he became a senior pharmacist, we worked even less together. But 9 years later, he took me to a Christmas party, and our director at the time said, you should go to this Christmas parties, but I didn't go for 9 years. And I went to this one, and the rest is history. 6 months.
And if I'm allowed to say, Andrew, I married my tutor.
Well, I'm not sure how Karen Lowe feels about this, but it's well and truly done and dusted.
Absolutely.
And Jeff, you don't have to wait 2 more years to get the limelight, so it's nice to meet you, but your time's coming.
Thank you, but it's Domenica's day.
And there's somebody else, I think.
Yes, and then our firstborn, which is Grace, she came along in '89, and sorry, Grace, I'm just giving her age away. And Grace was she spent quite a number of days in the pharmacy because the childcare was closed for 2 weeks of the year, and we needed to improvise. So Grace did do a little bit of pharmacy work from the age of about 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. She learned about the meniscus on a suspension, and then along came our son Jeffrey. So Jeffrey would be he came along 3.5 years later. So blessed with work, blessed with a family, and the family that extends to work as well because I'm sure you're going to ask me that.
What on earth happened that you let one of your beautiful children drift away from the joys of pharmacy into medicine?
Well, she was a little bit brighter than me, and her results were such. They wanted her to be a school teacher. When she got the results, they offered her all these scholarships. But Jeff said, "I think you can do medicine," and she did it. I think she always wanted to be with children. So being a kindergarten teacher would have pleased her just as much, but she could speak for herself. But now she's going paediatrician, so I think she's happy.
Very
happy. Where are you working, Grace?
I'm in ED at the moment. I'm halfway through my PEDS training and at Monash ED.
Ah, very good. Very good. Well, we're building a nice new big ED for you.
Thank you.
And,
but Dominica, anything else you'd like to say or share?
Yeah, but lots. But talking about families, I think the pharmacy family has been absolutely amazing from day one. I have progressive directors, I'll call chief pharmacists then, but directors and deputies. They involved me, obviously, and this progression went on for a very long time. And every consecutive director has had the same philosophy of progress and involving the staff. So I guess what I would really like to share then, and I think that extends to the whole hospital, that we have this community, that you've got your teams, which are our little teams, our big department teams, and it extends to the hospital. So there is something that came because of people have been asking me a lot of questions, if you permit. Yeah. So I did come across Heracula, we should say, as a Greek philosopher 500 years BC. And I'm thinking he must have been thinking of the future Monash Health when he said that change was the only constant. Because in the 45 years of change, we've had to embrace change all the way. We're not just inside the pharmacy. We saw the plans being drawn up for Monash Health, but never believed it would happen. It seemed abstract. And then it did happen from Queen Vic. And July, we were here 2 weeks. We had it up and running, and we had patients after. So then we thought we were right. Amalgamation came with Prince Henry's. Again, we had to go through the processes of change. And then the government decided to want to do networking. Dandenong, Casey came later, Kingston. So not only had we moved from the dungeon to the wards with all our parenteral nutrition and cytotoxics, but changed all the way. And we're thinking now we were okay, EMR. EMR, almost done. Well, we all know about coronavirus. So it went on and on. But I'd like to finish on that, unless you had another question, that although it's been change has been the constant, we joked about it all along since networking, the reality is there has been one constant at Monash Health, and the constant has been the dedicated people who are constantly looking to provide the best outcome for our services, so that we provide a safe service for every person who comes to our doors for our services, and for the staff and the environment as well. So there may have been change, but there is a constant that leads us all the way to this, our looking for excellence in our service. And it's not just that we haven't got it yet, but it is that we keep progressing because we know that we have to keep looking for better ways.
Dominica, thank you very much for all of that and for sharing it. And cheers.
Cheers.
And thank you for joining us tonight, and congratulations for your 45 years and for sharing your stories and your family. I hope they're going to increasingly spoil you tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
And take care, and we'll see you tomorrow at work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Or maybe not tomorrow. So, everyone, that was 127 people we've just celebrated. That's 1,500 people that we've recognised in their milestones in their length of service with Monash Health. And I really do want to thank everyone for their extraordinary commitment and efforts. Wonderful to hear Dominica's story and her journey at Monash Health. Wonderful to hear all those that are on their way to Dominica's time with Monash Health. I hope you're all as proud of your time with Monash Health as I am to work with you. On that note, I'm going to leave you with a short video that'll you'll see a few familiar names and faces, one that I've just been chatting to. Again, congratulations to you all. Thank you for your service. Have a great night and take care and be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
One word that would describe my colleagues is supportive. We support each other through good and bad times.
Thinking about it, I guess I would say they're keen. Because they're keen to be there, they're keen to work, they're keen to learn.
What's a word to describe my colleagues? Knowledgeable.
There's one word that I can describe my colleagues at Dandenong, and that is that they're a terrific lot of people to work with.
Generous. They wouldn't be doing it if they weren't giving people.
They're a wonderful bunch of girls and boys.
Over the last 40 years, I've seen a lot of changes, but the fundamental reason that I do nursing is looking after patients and their families. I've survived EMR, that was a crazy time, and I've survived COVID. So I think you just go with the flow and just keep learning. And
The thing I'm most grateful for in my time at Monash was the opportunities that I've been given right from the first year of my work.
I've seen a lot of changes, but I'm open to the changes because changes can bring good outcomes.
Change is good for all of us. It can scare you a bit. Probably scared me a lot over the years, but I've been happy to embrace it, and then when you come out post-change you realise how good it was and that you're very glad that you took the chance with it.
I love the job that I do, so the rest just falls into place very easily. Great staff, thoroughly enjoy looking after patients and their families, and I hope to continue a few more years.
It's important not to make assumptions about or judgments about people because they come from all different areas of life and backgrounds and experiences. The place keeps me grounded. So when I leave here on a Saturday afternoon, driving back to Phillip Island where I live, if I feel on the way up that I had things on my mind that were that I might have been feeling anxious about or sad about, by the time I finish here and drive home, I think, how lucky am I?
2020's been interesting. It's been very difficult and it's been a real battle for a lot of people, but I think what we've learnt, and certainly what we've learnt in the pharmacy, is that we can deliver our services differently but still do it effectively.
The pandemic has taught me to be very flexible because at my age, that's quite hard to do. I had to move out of intensive care where I have worked for 40 years because it is a high-risk area, and I had to move to a surgical ward. So I have to learn new processes.
So obviously every day is a learning curve. None of us know what's coming next. But it's taught me, in fact reinforced for me, that the human race, that we are very adaptable. We have a situation which can be so devastating, and yet we can find ways of doing things a little bit different and still achieve what needs to be achieved.
2020 has taught me to probably take a step back, to think, to support everybody. It's been a very tough year for us in ICU, and I think in the whole hospital. And I think the most powerful thing is that we are all in this together.